This game is called Betweeners. This is a great game for grade 1, 2, and 3, and beyond even, and a really good intervention game. And another example of a game that everybody in the class could be playing at the same time. You just change up the numbers that kids are working with. So really good intervention game. This game builds on that comparison of numbers in our numeracy screeners where they cross out the greater number, so we're comparing numbers for magnitude. It also is a really great game to build number line sense and that magnitude in comparison and have really good rich talks around number lines. So I strongly encourage you to play this game with number lines around. The cool thing about this game is that we can play it from a really foundational level all the way up to grade 6, like junior high, so it can really be scaled nicely. And you can use a lot of different materials to play it. So you can play it all the time. Like you can play it every week for the whole year, but every time you change up the materials or add new letter or numbers or levels of complexity, it feels like a whole new game, which is really nice. So some examples of things that you can use. You can use standard 6-sided dice. You have lots of these in your school. This is this is more foundational if we want to work with the digits between 1 and 6 with these. You also have 10-sided dice in your school. These ones are nice because they go from 0 to 9, and these numbers do include 0, or these dice include 0, which we know when it comes to place value that it's the zeros that kids get tripped up the most with. So having the zeros is really nice. But a little bit more complex. You can also play this game with cards. You just want to remove the 10s, 11s, and 12s. These boxcars cards also have zeros, though I have no zeros in here, which is kind of funny. Let's make sure we put some zeros. Remember, zeros add more complexity. So if you don't want it to be super complex, like you just want them to work with the digits 1 to 5, then take the digits out you don't want them to work with. Adding the zeros in adds complexity, right? Going up to 9 adds complexity. So you can play with lots of different materials. I'm going to start with just 6-sided dice. You also want to have some kind of number line available, especially at the younger grades or for our intervention students. So I'm going to start this game with single digit numbers, and so I'm going to use our folding number line. These are in your intervention kits in your school. Every school has a handful of these. You can also use these. Every school has a lot of these. You have class sets of these. So these are number lines that go from 0 to 100, horizontal, and the back side is vertical. So you always want to have these out because we want to be comparing our numbers. This game is a 3-player game. So groups of 3. And they can all have their own dice. That kind of makes it more fun, but you really could just play it with 1 dice. It doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do is each of us is going to roll our dice, and we're going to find our number on our number line and compare them, have some math talks, and then the winner of the game is the person who rolls the number in the middle, in between. So you want to be the in between. You don't want to be the highest. You don't want to be the lowest. You want to be in between. Okay, so let's start with player 1, pink player. Player 1 rolls a 2, so we want to say 2. We can find 2 on the number line. We're going to place it. We're going to talk about it. Player 2, player yellow. Ooh, player 2 rolls a 6, so we're going to place the 6 here. Now we can have a talk because we have some numbers to compare. Which number is greater? Which number is less? We can talk about rounding. Which number is closer to 0? Which number is closer to 10? Which number is closer to 12? Benchmarks, right? 5 is a nice benchmark, half of 10. Which number is closer to 5? Or 6 is closer to 5. We can count on from 2 to 6. We can count back. Make sure your kids know how to count back. Anytime you can bring in practice from counting back. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Right? We can find the difference between them. And so now player 3 is going to go, our green player. Now we can talk about what numbers player 3 has to roll in order to win. So remember, we want in between. If they roll a 2 or a 6, are they in between? No. So if they roll a 2 or a 6, nobody wins. If they roll a 3, will they win? How about a 4 or a 5? Yeah, if they roll a 3, 4, 5, player 3 is going to win. Now, what does player 3 have to roll so that player 2 wins? Remember, player 2, we want player 2 to be in the middle to win. Well, the only number that player 3 can roll for player 2 to win is a 1. And then 2 is going to be in the middle and player 2 wins. Is it possible? This is a great question. Is it possible for player 6 to win this round? Why or why not? We could talk about that, right? Yellow player is out. There's nothing that will put that this player can roll to make player yellow in the middle. So player 2 has automatically lost. Let's see what we roll. There we go, a 4. So we're going to place our 4 in the middle. We can have a talk about that. And in the end, which number is in the middle? It's player 3, teal. We can talk about which it's closer to. And in this case, that's an interesting conversation. Can we say that it's equally close? Which number is closest to 0 and 10 and 12 and the benchmark 5? We can have all of those great math talks. And then, so this player won that round, but then we just keep playing whichever number is in the middle. We talk about it. Oh, look, we have a tie here. So do we have any numbers in the middle? Nope, nobody wins that round. So that's how you play it with 1 digit. Now we can up the ante when kids are ready for it, either our intervention students when they're really good at 1 digit. Let's bring it up to 2 digits. Or the other kids in your class could be playing it with 2 digits. This is where we need our number line that goes to 100. So let's say teal is going to roll first, and teal, they're going to put their number together. And I mean, this is an interesting example because there's 2 2s, but this player wants to decide what order they want to put their numbers in. Do we want 22? In this case, if we change the number, it's still 22. So this player is 22. Now I can't show you because of the scale here, but they could put a marker like a clothespin or like a clip or something on 22. They could even put like a chip if they have a big table on 22 to show where their marker is, okay? Then, so we're at 22. The next player rolls. Ooh, okay, so they can make 36 or they can make 63. Now remember, this is an interesting strategy game because it doesn't matter who the highest and the lowest is. The winner is in the middle. So that's where the strategy gets kind of weird, right? So is it better off to be 36 or is it better off to be 63? Kids will start to build strategy as you continue to play this. I'm going to put player pink as 63 because it's going to have a bigger spread. So then we could talk about rounding, who's closer to 1, who's closer to 100, who's closer to 50, which is a great benchmark, how far apart they are. We could do all that. Then we can do that statistics probability guessing kind of thing where what does player yellow have to roll in order to win, you know, and what do they have to win for green to win, and what do they have to roll for pink to win. So we can have all that math talk, and here we go. Well, we can make 51 or we can make 15. Again, it's not about biggest or smallest, it's about in the middle. If we chose 15, who wins? Player green wins. So that's not advantageous for yellow. We want to make 51, in which case it would go in the middle. Player yellow is the winner. Again, we can compare who's closer, do all of that great rounding stuff. This too, we could round to the nearest 10. So what do we round 22 to? Do we round it down to 20 or up to 30? This rolls down to 20. How about 51? Down to 50 or up to 60? This is down to 50. And using that number line, we can see that rounding. We can also round to 100. So does 22 round down to 0 or up to 100? We could see that on the number line, right? It rolls down to 0. Does 51, ooh, juicy. Does 51 roll down to 0 or does it roll up around up to 100? This rolls up to 100, but look how close it is to 50. Interesting. 63, does it roll down to 0, up to 100? So great math talks, great rounding that can happen there. You can also do this with the 9-sided dice, right? With and you don't need 2 if you like for each player. You could do 3, but you could do 1 dice and they just have to record their number on a chart that you could make, right? So we could do it with the 9-sided dice. We could play the same thing where with the cards, not a 10, 97, 98. Ooh. We'd have to do like 79 and 98. Now the next player, let's see if they do it. Oh, can't do that. 55. So in this case, player 1 wins. So really good game for comparing numbers, looking at place value, and a beautiful game for bringing in number lines and doing all of that really rich work that that we can do by placing our numbers on number lines and having those math talks. Again, everybody in the class can be playing this game. But our students who need intervention, who have some gaps in their numeracy, can be playing it at the level that they need, and you can keep upping the ante for them. You could play this game all year long. Actually, even up into grade 4 and 5 and 6, you could play this game with decimals. So, like, what if you had like um, like this? So, one of your numbers is going to be the 1, and the other number is going to be the 10th. So we could do 6 and 3/10, or we can do 3 and 6/10. Where does that fit on a number line, right? And which number is going to be in the middle? That would be really cool. Or we could even do ones, tenths, hundredths as we scale up, right? Do we want to do 3 and 38/100ths, our decimals right here? Do we want to do 5 and 33/100ths, right? Like there's so many things we can do here to build those skills up. So figure out where your kids are at, what they need. Everybody can be playing this game all at the same time. Make sure you connect it to number lines. I hope you enjoy this game. Thanks. Have fun.